Yes? I'm sure every hand in this room can go up. And such diverse topics. And it is so significant that this particular expo is happening here at Bansera. As ma'am showed some of the pictures from prior, you saw that it was almost impossible to visualize that it could turn into such a beautiful green park. And today we are here, not just the DDA Green Expo is being done here. We also got to learn that Rekta has already happened here, where 70,000 footfall was registered. And I think these achievements are not just the achievements of our department, these are the achievements of all of us as Delhiites, or of all of us as stakeholders in all these national assets. These parks are not just parks, they are national assets. And I'm sure that we are all really, really enjoying the amazing breeze of this park every time we step out and then come inside. So, to make this DDA Green Expo really, really memorable, it's also very important that at the end of these 2 days, we continue these conversations in our own circles. We think so. We should continue whatever we have learned. कहते हैं कि खुशी बांटने से बढ़ती है. कहते हैं कि खुशी बांटने से बढ़ती है. वैसे ही लर्निंग के बारे में कहा जाता है, when you read you retain somewhat, and then if you write it down you retain a little more, but the maximum retention comes when you share, when you teach. So whatever you've learned today and yesterday, you must definitely share it in your groups, you must share it amongst your peers and amongst everyone, even outside the periphery of this hall, so that this knowledge can reach far and wide. We would now like to invite you to look at the screen again. We have an audio visual to play for you. Here we got another glimpse of the transformation. There has been so much hard work and dedication that has gone into these transformations. And let's continue from talk to transformation. That is the topic of our panel. I would like to invite on stage our panelist, Shri Rajiv Ranjan Mishra, former DG and MCG. We'd like to welcome on stage Mr. Nilesh Rajadhyaksha, Associate Director, Climate Resilience, NRDC, India. Please welcome Mr. Nilesh. Mr. James Abraham, Founder, Minzo Carbon. Ms. Kanika Bansal, Senior Manager, Urban Planning, C40 Cities. Let's welcome Ms. Kanika. And our moderator for the panel is Mr. Ramakrishnan, MD and Agriculture Practice Lead, Primus Entertainment. Primus Partners, thank you.
I know sometimes moderators are supposed to entertain, but I didn't realize Primus Partners became Primus Entertainment. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Very happy to be here. Excuse me. All right. The purpose of the discussion is to cover some concepts around how do you move from ideas to actual transformation. People talk a lot in these forums of action on the ground. As they say, there's many a slip between the cut and the lip, so to say. So, what kind of actual mechanisms or very specific action points or governance mechanisms helped to move things forward, and what are the lessons for Delhi? Would love to hear from you.
Thank you, Ram. I think you are absolutely right when you say intentions are, the first point to start. But how to convert those good intentions into actual results is always a challenging thing. And if you think of National Mission for Clean Ganga or Ganga Rejuvenation, who does not want a clean Ganga? Who does not want clean Yamuna? So, but if you just think, who gets benefit from river like Ganga? Almost all of us. And who is having some sort of, creates problem or challenge for rivers like Ganga and Yamuna? If you go into that, almost all sections of societies are responsible. So primarily the challenge is very big because you have to change everyone's mindset, and that's not easy. So I will very quickly try to tell you in 2014, and I had a unique chance of working on this mission prior to 2014 also. So I have seen the previous Ganga programs and also the change in the Ganga programs. I consider myself lucky to have spent something like 2 years in the beginning, again 4 years as Director General. So sufficiently long time on this program. See, everyone had a good intention, but often what happens, we don't understand the size of the problem. And first thing to convert your intention into action and actual result is understand what exactly is the problem. Often we give the solution first, which does not really change anything. So this has been happening in this. When Namami Gange was launched, we had a very good thing that we had a scientific basis, because there was a result of 7 IIT, the consortium of IIT and several other expert organizations who have given us a kind of basin plan. Not the perfect plan, but certainly a very good scientific understanding. So when Namami Gange was launched, we were little better placed to understand the challenge, and then not only look at the cleaning, but look at ecological restoration. The few minutes back, we had a great example of ecological restoration of Yamuna floodplain. So I think that became embedded into the Ganga mission. So I think the task was understood quite well because of the scientific thing. That was one change in this mission. Then National Mission for Clean Ganga was set up in 2011, as a kind of project organization with the help of World Bank, but it was converted. So what's important to convert, I think you have to have a very clear leadership. You have to have a good institution. First of all, you should know what is to be done. Then you should know who will do it. And then whether the person whom or a organization will say who will do it, whether they have enough empowerment. So NMCG was selected in 2014, but it was empowered in 2016. So I think when you look at policy and law, there was an authority notification in 2016 which really empowered National Mission for Clean Ganga to become like a basin organization. Lot of delegation, so the Director General, I mean, he is responsible to change it. He has no excuse that ministry is delaying or that man is delaying because all the powers are there with the Director General. So lot of delegation was given, unheard of. I mean, I will not get into detail. Then another very important thing will happen that you have to bring people into this agenda. Because if you keep on sanctioning only STP and then plants, you are dealing with engineers and contractors. If people do not understand why STP is needed, they will never. I mean, I remember Prime Minister in one of the earlier reviews saying that आप एक तरफ से साफ करते जाएंगे, दूसरे तरफ से लोग कूड़ा फेंकते जाएंगे, गंगा साफ कैसे होगी? So he asked that how many districts are there, involved district administration. So now in this authority notification, there is a very clear chain of command, National Ganga Council headed by the Honorable Prime Minister and District Ganga Council chaired by the District Magistrate. And then of course intermediate tiers are there. So a very clear chain of command, clear delegation, all clear management principle. Often you don't see it happening in government setup, but it happened here. And that actually made lot of things. Finances. If you don't have money, you cannot plan. We used to get 300 crore per year kind of budget. It became 2000 to 3000 crore. You can see. And you have got a kind of assured budget for 5 years, another 5 years. So you can plan in one go. So what happened in case of Ganga, we could involve the stakeholder. We had scientific understanding and we could really go into planning the entire thing. Coming very quickly to Delhi, I mean, how it translates. First of all, I would like to tell you the Ganga mission, Namami Ganga is a basin wide mission. So Yamuna is part of Ganga. It's one of the most important tributary of Ganga, and that's why Yamuna cleaning is also responsibility of Namami Ganga. So you can say that then why such kind of result has not happened in Yamuna, which you see in case of Ganga, because the problems are much more complicated. I mean, jokingly, people used to say in administration, if you have to see that an idea fails, you start with Delhi. So I mean, this used to be the earlier saying about because it's so complicated, so many stakeholders, large organizations, no one listens to other. So again, that kind of coordination mechanism, lots of things have happened, and I think maybe later on, I don't want to keep on talking. I will come back to you that, but Delhi again is complicated because you have such a large city, you do not have entire water security of your own. Almost local sources, Yamuna and groundwater will account for around 50% of your water need, but remaining 50% you depend upon Ganga, which is again part of the basin. You also depend upon Satluj. You go beyond basin, and all kinds of structures, projects are being thought of to bring more water. But what happens about its own water is also a big challenge. So I think you have to depend upon, and what happens to Yamuna and Delhi depends upon several other external factors also. So I think it's a big challenge. But I think lots of positive things are happening. And then it's very good to look at Ganga challenge and Delhi challenge because both are big problems. Big problems is so many stakeholders, so many governments, so many agencies, and you have to still move together with one common program. So I think there is a lot of similarity and similar kind of approach is working. In fact, there's a lot of positive things happening in case of Delhi and Yamuna also. Unfortunately, we always associated Delhi with all negative things. So I am quite sure the presentations of this 2-day expo, I think will make some change in the mindset of the people who are listening, and lots of good things are also happening and possible. So what's most important for Delhi is believe that it is possible to do it. It was same challenge in Ganga. People said, "Aapki career kharab ho jayegi. Nothing will happen in Ganga. Nothing will change. Don't go and join there." But you see, today people have some faith and confidence that some change has happened in Ganga. So that is most important to have that faith. And certainly we had taken a kind of survey of all the STPs which were constructed earlier, and we found that more than 50% were defunct because someone constructs, no one maintains them, no one operates them, there is no money, no one is accountable for them. So we were looking at how to see that the investment going from this program do not go waste or the same fate. So our motivation or trigger was bringing private party to ensure that there is a kind of some private capital is there so that someone will be responsible for 15 years. So we brought 15-year O&M, and it's not easy. And I think this question is very relevant because yesterday only, I mean, many of you would have seen there was a big cabinet decision about 1 lakh crore being announced for Urban Challenge Fund. So it's very good. I mean, when we started PPP, wastewater sector, PPP was supposed to be not going to succeed. Even, I mean, the lots of progressive, even World Bank was also skeptical, but we did it. Again, I will tell you, this was a commitment at a very high level. So, and we had lot of problem because the state governments were not happy with PPP because everyone likes business as usual. We give contract, contractor is our employee and we are their boss, and then we will dictate. The moment you bring PPP, it's a kind of little bit of partnership, concession. They bring their own money. So we brought hybrid annuity, and then we got the cabinet approval for this policy, so that it's not easy for us to dilute the moment there is a pressure from some state government. So we actually did that. Then you have to develop confidence of the market, because if you are not having paying capacity, no one will invest 60% of money by taking loan. So NMCG became a kind of tripartite agreement party. So the government of India agency became party. It's between UP Jal Nigam and that particular company and NMCG. And risk sharing is very important. So I mean, I cannot have time to tell you, but we learned from road sector hybrid annuity, but we actually brought lot of change because road still there is a very clear revenue stream. Best water you will not get kind of that kind of thing. So we brought it actually very easy for people to come. I mean, and initially we had problem, but now you get for every tender which comes from NMCG, something like 10 parties, 8 parties come from market. So if the market has stabilized, we learned a lot from the market players. So our agreement kept on evolving in the process. So that attitude was very good. Now PPP is very good, and we also did one or two other very clear thing, bringing lots of experts, IITs, NITs into that, monitoring of grossly polluting industries through these people. I mean, that's something which Delhi should also do it, because I mean, you have to bring little bit of independent, credible players to be your partner, and to also bring that kind of thing. So that's there. Lot of reuse we started because ultimately some revenue stream has to come. But initially there is no revenue stream. Basically, government is giving hybrid annuity is almost deferred payment kind of thing. But we gave a kind of that kind of possibility also. So that has started happening. Now people are talking about much larger projects. Project making capacity also is a big challenge, that how you prepare such kind of integrated projects. So that happened. But few things particular to Delhi, I will tell you before I close. Now in Delhi, what is happening? Delhi Jal Board is recently taking up lots of steps to actually do that kind of institutional change and do a lot of things which are actually more in the nature of progressive in digital transformation and several things. DDA, we have already seen the story of ecological restoration. So several things are happening, and one tool I will tell you, Delhi, the major challenge in bringing PPP or anything is, once you look at river and city and both have to grow, you need a kind of template or a kind of common plan. So now I think the one of the review meeting of Prime Minister for Delhi and Yamuna also, a decision was taken that we will also make urban river management plan for Delhi. So idea is we will look at floodplain, we will look at a pollution-free riverfront, riparian buffer, everything through a particular plan, and that plan will actually give you lots of things to do lots a kind of self-help projects. And then some projects can come from the government grant, some projects can come through this kind of challenge fund and several things. So I think that kind of thing is happening in Delhi, which I see is really very a great hope. And again, institutional thing which is happening, chief secretary is chairing a committee for making of such kind of plan, the right thing. And secretary urban development is also doing some sort of working group. So something which we tried to do integrated planning in case of Ganga, something like that through URMP. I also give advice to NIU, and NIU is also helping in this making of this plan. So this is the kind of thing which is happening. And
change and roadmap towards climate change, so to say. And obviously there are multiple elements to any city's overall action plan. There's people, there's technology, there's policy, and so on and so forth. How do you suggest someone starts?
Thank you so much. First of all, I'll just give a brief about about C40 cities. So we are like a membership-based organization. We are a non-profit, and which basically have we basically align with mayors of different cities or mayor equivalents of different cities to actually support them to achieve the climate agenda which has been set in the Paris Agreement. And we have across the globe we have 97 cities which are actually right now part of C40, which definitely helps us get a lot of insights about developing in developed countries. Also we set out the leadership standards and high impact actions which the cities need to actually achieve, and we review it every year and support them to also achieve those leadership standards in Amman, which is a small city with a very little municipal budget, and still they are trying to include climate actions into everything which they are doing. So C40 has supported Amman in actually bringing in climate actions into what is called as the development control regulations. Now we are supporting them in the master plan, to the district plan, and also we are piloting a neighborhood plan. So at all levels of planning, climate actions is actually getting integrated, and all because they have a supportive and a strong intended leadership, that is the mayor. And the same thing is there in other like in Tamil Nadu we have a very strong leadership the of in the Department of Environment itself. That's why Tamil Nadu right now is, I think, championing the agenda of climate change. The second comes because climate does not work in silos. I mean, sir mentioned about how even a small climate asset as river already includes a lot of stakeholders. Imagine if it's the climate of a city. So we have a lot of other departments and other players, and we need something a key sort of like a climate cell or a body which is actually having a lot of authority to bring in those kind of synergies between the different departments. The third aspect is definitely finance budget. Whichever city actually has a dedicated financial budget uh, does really good, and very few cities in the world are actually working towards that mainstreaming or actually having climate budgeting into their municipal budgeting. And we have in Mumbai, which is actually doing a really good work, and um, they have integrated a climate budget integration, and have a climate budget report in which actual fiscal allocation have been made to all the high impact actions, which definitely will support whenever they have to take up any project which can actually support that. The next is robot data system and the right timing. Again, giving the example of Chennai. So we actually did a climate action plan for Chennai, and in 2023, when our Jameel Climate Action Urban Planning Lab started, Tamil Nadu was also trying to Chennai was actually coming up with the third master plan, revision I wouldn't say, but coming up with the third master plan for Chennai. And based on the recommendations which were there in the Chennai Climate Action Plan, we did a risk assessment for them, a hazard mapping for them, and a greenhouse gas inventory, all of which actually gave them climate strategies which could directly get integrated into the master plan. And very soon, in I think six months time or something, we'll actually be seeing a statutory document which is there. The second thing, if we can't have all of it because mayors can change and your leadership can change, we need to actually have statutory systems which are aligned with the climate agenda. So Tamil Nadu has the Tamil Nadu Town and Country Planning Act, which has climate integration, and C40 was actually anchoring that as well for them. Last is participation and a whole of a ecosystem approach. So everyone actually is a player. I mean, Swachh Bharat mission actually was successful because of the behavioral change that it brought in. And I think with the climate agenda also, we have to bring in every player, including the citizens, to be onboarded with the idea of climate change.
Wonderful. James, did you want to add something? You sounded very excited about
learning about cities.
Okay, okay. All right. Ms. Bansal, you spoke about the need for like a central committee, and, you also talked about multi-stakeholder kind of interaction. So when you are trying to, look at the org design to make like an effective movement of, all these steps, what are some of the key elements you need to look at? What are the design elements that this is how things should, progress?
All right. I think I'll give you the example of cities like Bangalore and even Chennai, where we actually will be having a climate cell. So a climate cell, which is it's a give and take relationship. Whenever we talk about climate agenda, city need to give something, and we have to also present something to the cities. So technical capacity is definitely one in which there could be many people, financially also people who are actually well aware of climate budgeting, climate finance, then urban planners who can actually translate all of those policies into plans and then plans to implementation. We need to have environmentalists who can actually bring out the technical details of any project which is there. Even if a DPR is there, you can review the DPR and bring in where the climate agenda actually need to be fit in. So all of those technical capacities cannot be there in every department, but we can have a climate cell. And just contrasting that with the governance system that Delhi has. Just 2 days back we were actually having a roundtable in Chennai, and people are it's so easy to actually mainstream that into a tier 2 or tier 3 city, because there is something you can just have someone at the commissioner's office who can report to the DC's office, and it is sorted. But when you come to bigger cities like Delhi, Chennai, it becomes very complicated, because if all the power is with different departments, and everyone is actually a major stakeholder in any action which is being taken. So it is, I think the location also become important, where you are locating these climate cells, what is their position, what is their mandate, then how do they actually communicate with different stakeholders. So what is their convening power. So that becomes important. Then technical capacities I spoke about, and the last is the budget. So they need to actually have budget so that they can conduct studies, they can inform the policy decisions, they can inform projects, and they can also support in the implementation of all of that.
I think one thing most of the panelists seem to agree that Delhi has more problems or more complexities. So let's move on. Mr. Rajadaksh, she spoke about the need for climate cell, and then she also spoke about multiple other stakeholders already involved. So in your experience, when this kind of an initiative has to be run across different departments and different stakeholders, what are some of the do's and don'ts? What has really worked well? Any lessons?
Look, one of the things that we must acknowledge is that while we are sitting in Delhi, it's a very, very capacitated city. All said and done, with all of the challenges that it has, it also is a city where there's a fantastic capacity for work. We have some of the best technicians who are part of government structures. But if you just look at India and the problem as a whole, you'll realize that we are a very large urban ecosystem with cities often really grappling with everyday activities, with किसी के घर पे पानी नहीं आ रहा है, कूड़ा नहीं उठाया गया. And so what happens is questions of environment, questions of sustainability, questions of climate change almost become these distant kind of conversations that are almost aspirational in some senses. In an environment like this, what you will largely see is, and I'm not talking about some anomalies, but I'm saying in general, there would be a case where sustainability kind of becomes a peripheral concern, a kind of an outlier. Now, we must acknowledge here that we've done a lot in India. I mean, there's something as large as and ambitious as the Clean Ganga program, unheard of anywhere in the world. Such a large rivers program does not exist anywhere in the world. So absolute kudos to the Indian government to have been able to pull this off, and state governments. You also have programs, projects like what Nilima presented right now. Absolute turnaround of a river which nobody knew how to handle. I mean, how are we going to handle? But in a span of 4 to 5 years, we've been able to turn that around. The trouble is that, to my mind, these are anomalies. These are things that are happening. Yes, kudos to all the people who are behind it, but that's not really the norm. And I think the fundamental problem here is that we've not been able to unbundle climate sustainability, de-jargonize it, demystify it, and definitely we've not been able to codify this. And I think I want to talk a little bit about codifying this. It is, unless we are able to build sustainability and climate change conversations into the very DNA of development, I don't think we will achieve impact at scale. Now, when we say DNA, it sounds like a very large term, but when you think about development, what is DNA? DNA is fundamentally the master plans of your city. It's fundamentally the development codes that determine how your buildings are going to come up and how your built environment is going to look. It is the policies that back infrastructure and the kind of infrastructure we create. And lastly, our procurement practices. How are we procuring? What are we procuring through our standardized system? So if you really look at how development happens, it's basically happening through some of these coding systems. And if we can make an impact in some of these coding systems, I think we would have achieved great headway. Uh, just to kind of take this point forward, we saw James, for example, in his master class talking about greens, about greening. We saw some projects around the river, etc. But if we can't get our built environments right, uh, we will never achieve blue-green continuum, which is so fundamental to urban biodiversity. Just getting biodiversity and birds back to some of our biodiversity parks and other protected sanctuaries will not be enough. चिड़िया गायब हो गई थी वो कोविड के दौरान, just for those 2 months that Chidiya came back to Delhi. And it happened because you were seeing less pollution, you were seeing less smoke on the road. And places like Japan, places like London are actually talking about a connected green-blue ecosystem where your building edge, your road actually connects to the local Nala, the Nala in turn connects to the river. And it's an entire green-blue continuum which needs to kind of get corrected. And clearly, I mean, after I've spoken so much, it is evident that the master plan plays a very fundamental role because uh, despite how many climate action plans we make, they will remain aspirational documents. The master plan is actually your only statutory entry point into codifying some of these practices into serious thinking. And then the challenge is not so much about nudging people to adopt, but about monitoring compliance. Once you've codified it, it's about really monitoring compliance, right? Just think about the advantages we have. For example, if it goes into the master plan, every new township that comes up could be kind of pre-codified to ensure that it is net zero in many ways, is circular, is tackling all of its wastewater, is managing a significant green-blue quotient. All of those things can be actually pre-programmed, not necessarily designing the whole thing, but putting certain non-negotiables in place through your planning framework can already be done. Many of our cities actually have locked in problems. I mean, most of our cities are actually built up already. And how do you kind of regenerate some of these through good coding practices is again something that agencies like DDA will have to really think through. How do we begin to kind of unpack this entire conversation? Uh, when you think about coding, you must also think about things like road design codes. We have the IRC codes, road congress codes. Could we begin to tweak some of these rules of the game, to actually start making inroads into what is the kind of infrastructure that we want? Could we rethink some of our national missions? Like I'm taking some names, Amrut Smart Cities mission, make it actually conditional to have a sustainability first approach. If a nature-based solution is possible, why should I adopt a sewage treatment plant, which is fundamentally a civil work, right? And a nature-based solution as a kind of a system will outlast that in terms of the life cycle cost, which Sir spoke about through a PPP approach, right? But there is an entire life cycle cost to infrastructure, which nature-based solutions can really tackle in a big way. So a sustainability first approach in infrastructure, even when we are tendering out the contracts themselves, the RFP design itself, there's so much embedded carbon in the materials that we use today to build our built environment. If we don't change the RFQ document, the RFP document, give preferred treatment to green producers, green materials, we're not going to actually solve a large part of the carbon problem. We would have only solved the surface of it, which is apparent to us, which is visible to us. So I think the point I really want to make is that we can really get it right if we can get it codified within our systems. And again, just to repeat, when I say code, when I say DNA of urban development, I'm basically talking about master plans, development controls, your infrastructure policies and missions designed around that. And the fourth, very importantly, is our tender documents themselves, our procurement processes. Thank you.
Uh, Interesting that you spoke about DNA plan, etc. But how do you translate it into action? I mean, what do you need to tweak in the system to make sure that plan is followed and steps are happening and you see results on the ground?
Uh, Look, this is a very difficult question to try and answer in 4 minutes. Let me try and simplify this for myself. Let me put out 3 instruments which I think can really make a big change. Two of my previous experts already spoke about this in some way or the other. Sir spoke about bigger organizational structures. Kanika spoke about community level structure. Another thing is that if we don't get the institutional mechanisms right, and what do I mean by this? I'm saying if we depend entirely on our present government systems to act, it's not going to work. We'll have to create newer systems. SPVs, for example, when they came up during the Smart Cities mission, were rubbish, but SPVs, even from a PPP perspective, from a monetization perspective, from owning an asset and actually creating magic around it, SPVs are fantastic structures. So if we can translate, one, codify some of these in our plans going forward. Second, if we can parcel out some of this, for example, let's take Tokyo for instance. Tokyo's entire regeneration strategy is managed by one independent organization who is also responsible for long-term management of these assets, which is the Urban Renaissance unit at Tokyo. Yeah. So the thing is that if we can create these kind of dedicated entities that can support some of the agendas going forward, it would really help. The second is, and James, I think, can bear me out on this. We are not using technology enough. We're not using AI enough. We are stuck with this idea of the GIS, but we've not even explored GIS for what it's worth, actually. GIS and its predictive capacities, its abilities to tell us when is it going to flood next, where will it flood next, are there areas where a certain kind of development should or should not be allowed, is phenomenal. And we're not really using that, at least in big cities, which have the resources, the ability to run with it, and perhaps dedicated institutions. I know not of any other state which has a dedicated digital spatial agency like Delhi does. So there have been lots of firsts in Delhi in that sense. But if we can move, if Delhi could become, like, one of my aspirations would be, could Delhi be the first city in India that's actively using a digital twin model to actually predict climate, to predict environmental outcomes of its developmental decisions? I think it would be fantastic. So put data behind the implementation of the plan. And the third, and I think it's most important, even when I had the opportunity to work closely with DDA to make the plan, one of the things that we don't do enough is, and I think many cities across the world are doing this very, very well, is we don't have planning structures at the community level to support communities. Much of the climate action, much of the environmental action, much of the behavioral change is going to happen there at the grassroots, on the ground. We're not going to be able to cut it and solve it by changing just policies. It's going to happen on the ground. But the technical know-how required, the ability to bring a diverse group of stakeholders together for conversation can only be done by planning authorities, can only be done by agencies with the ability to bring people together. So creating community level planning structures, whether it's at the ward level or, like in London's case, at the borough level, for example, would be absolutely important. So um, just to reiterate, SPV structures work wonders. Second is, let's explore digital and AI techs and how they can actually help us navigate this whole climate unpacking. And the third is responsive climate community planning structures. Would, to my mind, be fantastic interventions.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I'll just like to add to, like, one more thing is the capacity of the entire ecosystem, because, like, we probably can actually have a fantastic statutory system. We can have a fantastic, a community level engagement and identify certain projects. But if the contractors, the laborers are actually not equipped enough to actually translate that particular DPR into action and, like, do the things correct, because that's also the problem. Like, nature based solutions, we don't know what should go in the RFP, we don't know what should actually happen in the operation and maintenance, we don't know how to, like, we can't actually find contractors who can implement that particular DPR right, like, accurately on ground. So that technical capacity is also something which is currently missing, and we also need to invest in that, like, building like from a leadership level to the statutory documents to also the implementers who are there. Like, I think it's the entire ecosystem which need to be sensitized and equipped.
Very interesting. Thanks for sharing that. In fact, we were having a similar conversation with one of the clients we work with. That traditionally, government procurement for services, including IT, has been on the lines of I need to hire an expert with so and so skills, so many years of experience, one body serving ABC, another body serving blah, blah, blah. And we were saying that, look, with the advent of AI, especially, you have to start thinking outcomes. You can't think about, I need one person or two people or three people, because whatever one person used to do earlier, uh, can be done by much smaller amount of, money spent, so to say. So educating people with different elements of technology, different changes which are happening there, I can totally relate to that. So James, with that segue into technology, if you look at the overall, net zero commissions at a country level, or we spoke about intent, right? Ye hona chahiye, this should be done. Um, what is your experience of the ground reality? How far away from those lofty dreams are we? And
Well, first off, I want to say it's just incredibly inspiring to sit at a panel with all of you, and the scale of the projects and the way you think about city and national level so easily is quite amazing. And I'm going to tell you a story to answer this question. I spent all my life in corporate boardrooms in corporate India, where frankly, most of our vision is incredibly narrow. It's very narrow. I left that to start a solar company in 2008-9. To give you an idea of solar in 2008 and 9, the entire installed capacity of solar in the country was 5 megawatts. In contrast, we have a 2 megawatt plant walking distance from here. That's what a big difference it was. At the time that I did this, one of my fellow board members took me aside and said, "You are wasting your career because solar will never be important in the energy mix." The next year, the next big 1200 megawatt coal plant was about to be commissioned. And what I'm telling you as a story sounds almost laughable, as it is laughable, but it tells you what happens in a corporate boardroom. Until it's economic, it's a CSR project. Okay, until it's economic, it's a CSR project. What happened in solar was in 2016-17, the economics changed completely. Now, of course, renewables is the best way to go. And of course, everybody is onto the bandwagon of doing this, right? But I think that is incredibly important, that to be able to get into the corporate boardrooms, we have to make it valuable. We have to make it economic. And I love this point that Nilesh made about climate and sustainability as a DNA. Today, climate and sustainability and net zero, to a large degree, is a CSR project. It is an expense item. It is somebody, the foundation or somebody else will take care of. It's a 2% problem I have to worry about. We have to move that from an income statement to a balance sheet problem. Let me explain what I mean by that. A balance sheet problem is when a company invests, not when a company spends. When a company invests, it'll take care of it. It will watch it. It will look at it over the next 5, 10, 15 years. So when we talk about a partnership with a Delhi plan, it's don't come and spend money with me now. Let's talk about a 20-year investment where you are invested in this place. The net zero journey right now, I see still as an expense statement problem. It is slowly moving into a balance sheet problem. Energy transition is one. You've seen things like materials, new materials. Again, it's an economic conversation. We've seen supply chains changing. All of these are slowly starting to change. Where it has stopped is the last mile. The last mile is you asked this question, how far away are we from all of this? If I were to add up everybody's commitments and plans, we're going to be at least 2x away from where we need to be. So it's a long way away. What's missing is the question about how do I not just reduce, because we cannot reduce to zero. Certainly in a country like India, where we still need to grow, we need to develop, we're not going to reduce to zero. So we need to take stuff out. When we have to take stuff out of the air, which is the conversation I had earlier, the economics question comes in. Well, why is that worth it for me? Why is that worth it for me comes in. Except for a few boardrooms that I've been in, this question has not been easily answered. If we can answer this, and I think the partnership with cities is a great place, I think data is a great question mark around this, we can actually solve this problem.
Wonderful. So, how do you get it to the boardroom agenda? How do you convince more people who are still not convinced? How do you kind of mobilize, action? How do you translate that intent to action? Is it policy? Is it capital? Is it something else?
I'd say three things: technology, policy, and then the economics around these things. Let me talk quickly about technology. There are an incredible amount of startups working in the sustainability space, new materials, new ways of delivering things, and you'll see that coming out. They are all expensive. If we were to rely on technology to save us, it will not save us. It's important, but it's not enough because it's too expensive. Companies know this. They're all doing technology experiments. No one's deploying technology at scale. However, there are some things that are actually economic and available at scale. Nature-based solutions, integrating that into the selection process, the choice process, as you said, Nilesh. This question is starting to show up in my boardroom conversations. When choices of investments are being made, we ask the question, how do we put the nature-based solution into the investment process? So that's the technology side. The policy side is to say that we will hold people accountable for the environmental impact they have. The worst thing that happened on this point was just happened last week in the US when the EPA, which is the large act in the US, the Environmental Protection Act, they got rid of what is known as the endangerment finding and they diluted it. The endangerment finding allows the courts to establish pricing costs when a company has a negative impact on the environment. We in India have to resist things like this. We have to continue to establish a cost. What the Bureau of Energy and Efficiency has recently done by notifying industries to reduce their carbon intensity. These policy frameworks are essential. In solar was the same thing. We didn't get to 2016-17 because people said just go do it. It was because policy helped support us along the way. So the essential element that says you will pay the price for an environmental impact and we stick to it, absolutely an essential piece of it. Now, there's another part of policy, which is once you establish that strict penalty, you need to allow people a way to be able to address that penalty, which is how do I account for the reductions I've had? How do I account for taking carbon out of the air, investments in forests, investments in nature-based solutions? There's a set of those policy environments that are still murky. There's a lot of work to be done to kind of resolve that. And we talked a little bit about that in terms of data and management to help solve this, but that's an essential part. The third element is economics. Economics is fascinating because I think this is not given, it's actually a choice. I mentioned something to some of my international friends the other day. I said, did you know that in India, some of the largest companies are setting an internal carbon price? They were stunned that in India, we were ready to set an internal carbon price. The way an internal carbon price works is a company says, this is my number, let's say 1,800 rupees a ton. If any project can deliver an environmental saving that is less than 1,800 rupees a ton, it is worth doing. So that's a price. It's an internal price. It's a wonderful thing to have. We should be promoting this, letting everybody else. I'm not sure how many people here knew this, but every boardroom should establish an environmental internal price that allows them to justify projects below that price. That's an economic thing. That'll be supported by policy. If you do these two things with the technology available, we can move from income statement to balance sheet. There's the other element that I always talk about, which is my pet peeve, which is data. The real thing that people need, companies need, is if I invest, I need to know that where my investment is going is actually creating returns. Not returns in terms of money, but returns in terms of environmental impact. Is the carbon coming out of the air? Is biodiversity being managed? Is the tree still there 10 years later? All of this requires data, which is where the point you made about AI and GIS, which is where we work, becomes essential. Creating that data layer allows us to get cities to build that data layer, allows companies to rely on it, and then with the internal carbon price allows them to rethink how they spend money on.
It's not common that I meet a tech entrepreneur who says most of the tech out there is not going to be sustainable. So thanks for that candid comment. I think that brings us to the end of the discussion. We've got just about a minute left. Do we have time for questions? Can somebody let me know if you have time for questions? Yeah, please.
I think excellent. I think if I just want to say what Nilesh said and what all of us are saying, the challenge is how sustainability will become at the core of decision making. At present, it's fringe. It remains CSR. It remains something else. So something has to be done. So let's do this much and show it off that we have done it. So that's not the real sustainability at the core. And time has come that we have to move in that. And what I feel, because environment, you don't have a kind of value attached to it. The ecosystem services of a river, wetland, park, you don't have a clear number. So I think something which we have to work is evaluating very clearly economic value of the ecosystem service. We have to work on that, and that will help you in sensitizing decision makers. Second thing is what all of you said about technology. Technology we must understand, but again, if our core thinking of a decision maker is sustainability, then you will use technology for sustainability. Otherwise, see, I mean, just by having IT and AI and all these smart things, you will not able to solve the problem of basic water supply and basic sewerage disposal unless you give that priority and do it. So that is something very important in a place like Delhi. I mean, your constant challenge will be how you integrate. First of all, different types of water. See, we have to learn from nature. Nature is very integrated. Every organism, like DDA presentation, you saw so many microorganisms, so many things happening, different type of biota. Now we have to somehow learn from that and do it. Administrative convenience, we have to divide into silos and departments and agencies. But someone, that's why what you need is a very clear central authority which actually envisions it and then tries to bring everyone together. So that's something important. That kind of convergence helped us in Ganga mission also, and that kind of convergence, I see that direction we are moving in Delhi also. Because I mean, all of you said, I think what Kanika also said, when it comes to Delhi, it becomes difficult, a small size city, because see the here everything, whether it is DDA, whether it is Delhi Jal Board, whether it is in, all these organizations are large and they are created by some act of their own. So they have lots of authority and power. So it's very difficult to, only a very top level direction will be able to diffuse them and fuse them. Otherwise, it will only remain as a kind of wish list, but it will not really translate into action. So that is something. And I will again be little optimistic, but I see that kind of tendency happening. It will not be easy. Anyone who thinks that cleaning Ganga is easy thing और 5 साल में कर देंगे, वो बेवकूफी से बढ़ के और कुछ नहीं है. It will take time and you have to say some real target of 5 साल में इतना करेंगे, उसके अगले 5 साल में हम इतना और करेंगे. I mean, that's the way to work it. But so I think that's what is happening. So core is collaboration, core is very strong coordination, and core is a kind of very enlightened vision which is able to see what exactly is the most essential thing to be done in the long run. And you will have to accept lots of peripheral things also, because you cannot change everything overnight, but ultimately that's what will actually take you forward.
Okay, thank you so much.
From there, just as you suggested, internal pricing, that I liked it very much, because most of the project happening across the country is being done through contract. And if a company has internal price, then partly our problem will be addressed. And Mishra sir is around. I think he should push it very strongly before the government, that how we can look at the internal pricing of a company before you put any contract.
Thank you to our panelists and our moderator. We would like to invite on stage for the Momento presentation now. This has been a really amazing and wonderful presentation. All these panels and the final panel we just witnessed. Let's put our hands together for this panel first. I request all the panelists to kindly stay with us on stage. May I have Mr. Piyush Kumar, Deputy Director Horticulture, to join us on stage to present a memento to Ms. Kanika Bansal. I'd like to invite Mr. Kanav Mahajan, SE Horticulture, to present a memento to Shri Rajiv Ranjan Mishra. I request Mr. Lukender Singh Rajput, SE Horticulture, to present a memento to Mr. Nilesh. I request Mr. Chandrabhan Singh, SE Horticulture, to please present a memento to Mr. James Abraham. I request Mr. Amit Singh, Deputy Director Horticulture, to please present a memento to Mr. Ramakrishnan, our witty moderator, Primus Partners. And that was the final panel. We still have the concluding moments. We have a few certifications that we will be giving away on stage. I would first like to invite on stage from DDA our Vice Chairman, Mr. Sarvana Kumar sir. I'd like to invite on stage our Principal Commissioner, Dr. Vipul Agarwal. Our Chief Engineer, Mr. Mukesh Kumar. Our Additional Commissioner, Dr. Kalpana Khurana ma'am. And Ms. Nilima Soni, Director. So, in the spirit of spreading awareness around environmental causes, there were certain activities that happened in universities and educational institutes across. And on these topics, many students participated, making posters, submitting papers, and we have a list of these students who are waiting backstage to receive their certificates. And they will be presented these certificates by the hands of Vice Chairman DDA, Shri N. Sarvana Kumar sir. We welcome on stage Mr. Sarvana Kumar sir, Dr. Vipul Agarwal, Mr. Mukesh Kumar, Dr. Kalpana Khurana, and Ms. Nilima Soni. And now for the felicitation related to the paper and poster presentation, we will be inviting our students here. I request Vice Chairman Sir, Shri N. Sarvana Kumar Sir, to please present the certificates to these students. And the first name is, everybody, let's encourage our students. Let's cheer for them. The first name is Kritika Chug. Let's have all the students on stage and please come one by one in front of stage to collect your certificate. Naman Dua. Naman Dua, please join us in front of stage. And the next name is Farhan Khan. Farhan Khan. And the next name is Jay Rajvanshi. And the next name is Deepak Kumar. I think these are not just students participating in an activity, there are brand ambassadors. They are the ones who are going to take this message forward. The leaders of tomorrow. Sara Tariq. Next name. Welcome, Sarah. And the next name is Hifza Fatima. Congratulations on making it to the stage. And the next name is Anshika Gaur. Joyesh Sahu. And Pooja Vaswani. Let's cheer for all the students who came on stage. And now we will have the distribution of appreciation certificates. This is to appreciate officers for their commendable efforts and contribution to the DDA Green Expo 2026. Yes, the 2 days mammoth event that we all have witnessed and enjoyed. A lot of dedication and sleepless nights have gone into it. So let us now invite our officers and cheer for them. And for this, I would again request our Vice Chairman, Shri N. Sarvana Kumar Sir, to please do the honors. Let us welcome Dr. Vipul Agarwal, our Principal Commissioner. Thank you, sir. I'd like to invite Shri Mukesh Kumar, our Chief Engineer. Welcome, sir. Everybody, let's cheer loud for all the officers. Each one of them have put in extra hours. They did not do it just as a job. They do it with passion, and that's what you see materializing and manifesting. I'd like to invite Dr. Kalpana S. Khurana, ma'am, Additional Commissioner, to please step forward for the felicitation. Shri Ajay Kumar Gupta ji, please join us on stage. Indeed, a lot of sacrifice goes into creating such a platform. I'd like to invite Shri Rajneesh Kumar on stage for the felicitation. Welcome, sir. Shri Kanav Mahajan, please accept your certificate. Srimati Nilima Soni. Yes, we can see the claps rising. Thank you, ma'am. Once again, let's do one more round. Dr. R.D. Meena. Dr. R.D. Meena, kindly join us on stage. Shri Bijoy Patel. Shri Bijoy Patel, kindly join us on stage. I would like to thank Sarvana Kumar sir, and I would request our Principal Commissioner, Dr. Vipul Agarwal sir, to felicitate our officers, Shri Durga Prasad Chaini, Shri Vijendra Kumar. We meet our colleagues daily in the office, and these are regular days, but today is not a regular day. So let's make it a special day for each one of them. Shri Amit Singh. We welcome Shri Amit Singh. Shri Muhammad Uzair. Shri Sahiram Bishnoi. I can hear more claps backstage than in front of stage. There are more people in front of stage, yes. I'd like to thank Dr. Vipul Agarwal and invite our Chief Engineer, Mr. Mukesh sir, to please felicitate our next set of officers. Shri Pradeep Kumar. I can see a lot of hands are empty. Let's vitalize this environment. Shri Tarun Dhaka. Shri Tarun Dhaka. Shri Abhishek Raj. Shri Rahul Singh. Shri Rahul Singh. Miss Kriti Goyal. I'd like to thank all the audience for keeping the momentum going. Thank you, Mukesh sir. And now I invite our Additional Commissioner, Dr. Kalpana Khurana ma'am, to felicitate the next set of officers. Let's keep the momentum going, everyone. Now, the next name is Miss Chitra Singh. Shri Padam Yadav. Miss Veda Halve. Miss Veda Halve, Miss Vanshika Sagar, each of these names have championed for months to make this 2 days so memorable for us. So let's make the most of these moments and clap for them loudly. Miss Meha Chandra, Miss Parul Kataria, thank you, ma'am. I'd like to thank you for presenting the certificates and request Miss Neelima Soni to please join us for the next set of certificates. And the officers, I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Shubhranshu Gupta, Miss Kritika Madan, Miss Kritika Madan, Mr. Ravinder Rawat, Mr. Mukesh, please join us on stage. Mr. Ashraf, can we have Mr. Ashraf on stage? Mr. Nihal, audience, Mr. Nihal is wondering, what did I do wrong? Nothing at all. They did everything right, did everything so perfect. Mr. Durgesh. Let's clap all together for all of the officers, the complete team. And Mr. Mukesh is here. Let's clap for him as well. I guess Mr. Mukesh was still handling something last moment. That's how it goes. We all know the drill. Thank you, ma'am. We started the DDA Green Expo with a welcome address by Sir. And now for the closing remarks as well, I would like to invite our Vice Chairman DDA Shri N. Sarvana Kumar Sir to please join us.
Good evening. Am I audible? Yeah, good evening. So this is the DDA Green Expo 2-day event coming to an end. Sri Vipul Agarwal, Principal Commissioner, Horticulture Landscape, DDA. Sri Mukesh Kumar, Chief Engineer, Horticulture. Dr. Kalpana Kurana, Additional Commissioner, Landscape. Srimati Neelima, Director, Landscape. Director, Horticultures and senior officers of DDA, delegates, and all the participants who have gathered here. First of all, my heartiest congratulations to the entire DDA team, because this is the first time DDA has ventured into organizing this kind of a DDA Green Expo. And I would like to say by declaring that this has been a huge success. The 2-day event has attracted a lot of experts. More than, I think, 50 experts have come who represent various organizations, various sectors. So they have been here, and a lot of students have been here, a lot of participants who have registered, they were part of this. To start with, why did we organize this DDA Green Expo? Because DDA as an organization, I think I spoke in the opening remarks yesterday morning also. DDA is such an organization, it does everything. You name it and we will be doing it actually. Okay. So basically DDA takes the lead, as I mentioned yesterday, DDA is just not a master planner or a regulator or a, developer, only a housing provider. No. It has multiple roles. It has much more than that. The roles are many. So one of the important roles is the work which DDA has been doing since decades on environment, on the environment protection. DDA has been maintaining, more than 730 parks, 7 biodiversity parks, and it keeps, improving, and it keeps developing new parks. Like the new park, this is the one, Bansera, Ashita, Vatika. There are so many new parks coming up. Heritage conservation is happening. Why do we do all these works? Because the DDA, we do strongly believe that DDA's mandate is for the planned development of Delhi. Planned development doesn't include only high-rise buildings or the planned structural developments. It involves multiple things which are part of the overall ecosystem. The multiple things are like the greenery, the river, the biodiversity areas, and the heritage conservation part of it, much more than that actually. So the DDA has been doing lot of works in maintaining the greens, maintaining the forest area in the ridge area, wherever the DDA is the landowner in the ridge area or the morphological ridge area. DDA plays the role of a very responsible landowner of that area, protecting that area from encroachments and developing that area. And also in the recent past, thanks to our the leadership of our Honorable LG Sir, Mr. Vinay Kumar Saxena, the last 3 years, DDA has started doing lot of works in the Yamuna riverfront, developing new parks, removing the encroachment, protecting the Yamuna river floodplains. So it has been a tremendous work happening in that front. So we are all doing all these things works. Then why are we organizing this Green Expo? It is primarily, when we talk of anything environment related things, there are a lot of discussions, parlays happening throughout the country. I mean, throughout the world actually, because it's a global subject. It doesn't have an environment. It doesn't have borders. It doesn't have limitations. The global warming is it's a global concept. What the so-called developed countries have done, even a developing country or a very underdeveloped country also will be facing the problems because of that. So a lot of discussions happen in international levels, at the national levels. But why this DDA Green Expo is to primarily look at whatever DDA has been doing for the environmental protection, environmental thing in Delhi. Is it sufficient? How are we doing? How is it being perceived by other stakeholders? To understand that at the micro level, because the major discussions all happen at the macro level. But actually the implementation happens at the micro level. So organizing such a Green Expo would really help the DDA in understanding what exactly we are doing for Delhi in case of environment. Is it sufficient, or what exactly we should be doing? What more we should be doing? How we can collaborate with other partners. Like you must have seen in yesterday's morning, in the presence of Honorable LG, we have signed MOU with 4 agencies. That includes WWF, and that includes National School of Drama, various agencies. Because DDA alone cannot be doing everything. That is not possible also. We do not have the expertise. So we do collaborate with various agencies since decades. Like we have been engaging the Delhi University's team for the biodiversity works. Professor C.R. Babu and his team. So, they have been doing a tremendous work. Just to tell an example about the biodiversity parks, we have 7 biodiversity parks developed since 2002. Started with the Yamuna Biodiversity Park. We have 7 biodiversity parks over almost, I think, 3,000 acres of land. So once a kind of a degraded land has been now converted into a rich in flora and fauna. The kind of number of plant species which were there earlier, had increased by multiple times. Similarly, it has attracted the the plant ecosystem which has developed has attracted a lot of fauna. Birds have started coming, animals have started coming on their own. So now the biodiversity parks of DDA are a living example, how to preserve the nature. So now they are full, vibrant with full flora and fauna, natural flora and fauna, with only the native breeds of trees surviving there. So I'm sure, we've had discussions here in the last 2 days. Discussions have happened on various areas like building climate-ready cities through nature-based infrastructure, responding to urban heat. Urban heat is becoming a major issue, so we could discuss on that. Designing for climate-responsive cities, urban gardening and sponge city, cross-sector collaboration for urban food circularity. Also, we had discussions today since morning, development versus conservation, finding a middle path. I think that's a major challenge. Generally, these 2 things are considered to be, hostile to each other, whereas it is not. I mean, in my experience also, I had seen, in the name of conservation, many a times we say no for the public, and that is where the derailment starts actually. I'm a serious advocate of, believing this fact that increased footfalls will definitely lead to a better conservation of a place, whether it is a heritage site, whether it is a park, whether it is a Yamuna floodplain. So we need to really attract people to those areas, tell them like what is nature, and they should be made to appreciate the nature. They should be made to appreciate the Yamuna river. So that is exactly what we are doing. Water management systems, nature, health, and behavior change, healing cities from the ground up, financing green city, CSR and PPP for sustainability. So then I think in the post-lunch session, we had a discussion on a topic like carbon sequestration, floodplain management policies and practice. Then from talk to transformation, just before this session, we could all, witness to the intense deliberations that have been happening. So all these discussions have happened with the idea of identifying the areas at micro level where we are doing well, we need to keep doing, where exactly we need to focus more, what kind of policy measures would be required, either at DDA level or at the ministry level or at the government level. So all those things have been discussed, and I am sure that at the end of the deliberations, whatever the conclusions or whatever the findings we could come up with, they will definitely be of use not only to the DDA but for the common public of Delhi. And I would really take this opportunity to congratulate Sri Vipul Agarwal and his entire team, for handling this 2-day expo for the first time being organized in a very, very successful manner. I'm sure his team, the entire team, I would like to mention because Vipul Agarwal has been appreciating them a lot. Of course, the senior officers who are sitting here, everyone knows them. But I'm told, the 4 young colleagues of us who are from the Primus partners working with us very closely, Miss Veda Halre, Miss Vanshika, Mr. Subransu, Meha and Parul. I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of DDA to appreciate all of you for your tremendous efforts, in helping the DDA, in working with DDA, in all works, not only the DDA Green Expo. I have been seeing your works very closely. In a very, you have brought in a lot of energy and professionalism, which is helping all our senior officers to deliver very easily. I'm sure all the senior officers on the stage with me would agree with that. So I really want to thank Horticulture Landscape Department for wonderfully organizing this DDA Green Expo. And I'm sure the Palash, the flower festival, which is going on since yesterday, it will be there till tomorrow for 3 days. I'm sure it is being organized at 4 places in Delhi. So that is also attracting a lot of crowd. I'm sure that is also going to be, a milestone, because since till last year we have been organizing Palash only in 1 place. So this time we have increased it to 4. My only suggestion and advice to my team is the number of the flower related activities which have been showcased here. So I think that should be increased very significantly in the coming years, because when we talk of flower festival, it should all be flowers everywhere, with a lot of designs. Even without designs also, flowers, different type of flowers should be there. So that is my one advice. And the second, my request to my team is, let this DDA Green Expo first edition be really significantly multiplied to make it a grand success next year. And let us start working. Let us start working on this Green Expo for the next edition from now onwards. Because as I mentioned in my earlier observations, the environment related discussions in general happen always at a very, very macro levels. Many a times, without really percolating down to the local issues. So, but I think the DDA Green Expo organized at Delhi level, organized by DDA, showcasing whatever good works have been done and hearing from the experts, listening to the experts, hearing their views. I think that will really help DDA and overall Delhi in improving our environment, improving our greenery, improving our forest, improving our river, Yamuna, the quality of all these things in a very, very significant manner in the future coming years. For that, I think DDA Green Expo is going to be a really, really a milestone, and let it be a very, very good beginning. And I wish DDA Green Expo in the coming years also a grand success. And I again take this opportunity to thank all the experts who have come from different sectors for being part of the DDA's program, and also the other registered participants. I would like to appreciate them. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thanks for motivating us every step of the way. For the vote of thanks, I would now like to invite on stage our Principal Commissioner, Horticulture Landscape DDA, Dr. Vipul Agarwal.
Respected Vice Chairman DDA and Savarna Kumar sir, my colleagues on the dais, Chief Engineer Horticulture Mr. Mukesh Kumar, the Additional Commissioner Landscape Dr. Kalpana, and the Director Landscape Ms. Nilima Soni, distinguished guests, speakers, audience members, my colleagues and dear colleagues, and dear friends. As we come to the close of the DDA Green Expo 2026, it's my proud privilege to express our sincere gratitude to everyone who made these 2 days meaningful, thoughtful, and action-oriented. We began this journey with the recognition that the future of our cities cannot be shaped by growth alone. As reflected in our theme, Beyond Growth, Reimagining Urban Futures, this expo sought to bring together diverse perspectives to explore how Delhi and other Indian cities can move towards balance, resilience, and long-term well-being. The event started with a fruitful inaugural ceremony where we unveiled the DDA Greens logo, the DDA Greens yearbook, and entered into 5 monumental partnerships with esteemed organizations. I thank all the representatives from the Delhi Technological University, Mathura Vrindavan Development Authority, National Medicinal Plant Board, National School of Drama, and the Worldwide Fund for Nature for collaborating with DDA and signing the MOUs. These collaborations will position DDA Greens as platforms for learning, innovation, ecology, and cultural engagement, moving beyond recreation towards long-term civic and community value. Over the past 2 days, we have heard rich and insightful discussions. Our discussions begin with building climate-ready cities through nature-based infrastructure, examining how floodplains, wetlands, urban forests, and ecological corridors can function as essential urban systems. We reflected on responding to urban heat, policy, planning, and public health, where we talked about urban heat as a growing public health and planning challenge, and how design, governance, and health systems must work together. We also engaged with climate-responsive urban design, looking at how everyday spaces, streets, parks, campuses, and neighborhoods can improve comfort and resilience in the panel designing for climate-responsive cities. The conversations on food circularity in the panel session, cross-sector collaboration for urban food circularity, highlighted the role of industry, supply chains, and communities in reducing waste and building sustainable food systems. We also had 2 immensely impactful masterclasses, Solar Innovation for Urban Infrastructure and Urban Gardening and Spawn Cities, which explored advanced solar technologies and applications for urban environments and urban gardening integrated with Spawn City principles, which can transform parks and public spaces into living ecological infrastructure. Today, we deepen the dialogue by examining the balance between development and conservation and finding a middle path in the face of rapid urbanization. We also had a very interesting fireside chat where we had two highly influential environmentalists talk about the importance of individual behavior, exploring how people-centric action and policy can together build healthier and more resilient cities. We explored innovative approaches to financing green cities through CSR, public-private partnerships, and new investment models in our panel discussion on financing green cities, CSR, and PPP for sustainability. To the masterclass on water management systems, we got a live demonstration of integrated urban water management solutions, showcasing efficient water use, monitoring, and reuse systems. Most importantly, in our concluding session, we focused on the challenge of translating ideas into implementation, moving from pilot projects to scalable institutional solutions. Through these sessions, a clear message has emerged. Building climate-ready cities requires collaboration across institutions, sectors, and communities. On behalf of DDA, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to all the speakers and moderators. Your insights, experience, and willingness to share both success as well as lessons have enriched this platform and made it truly impactful. I would like to, as our Vice Chairman also mentioned, Primus partners, Mr. Devinder Sandhu, Mr. Ramakrishna, Mr. Shravan Shetty, Mr. Samir Jain, Mr. Vivek Tandon, and his team of highly enthusiastic my colleagues, Ms. Veda Halve, Ms. Vanshika, Ms. Meha, Ms. Parul, and Mr. Subhranshu for all the support extended to us from the conceptualization to execution of the first ever DDA Green Expo. It wasn't possible had you not been there to support us at each stage. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all the departments of DDA, engineering, housing, HUPW, planning, accounts, finance, and legal for their contribution in making the event successful. I would especially like to thank the horticulture engineering, landscape, and systems departments for working tirelessly to bring this idea of an expo to fruition. I would like to give a special mention to Ms. Nilima Soni, Director Landscape, who, under the able guidance and constant support of her mentors, the Chief Engineer Mukesh Kumar ji and Additional Commissioner Landscape, Dr. Kalpana Khurana, for effectively managing the project and the entire event from the concept to planning to its execution. Her contribution with the team of the dedicated colleagues that we have, not only just as a DDA officer, but as an enthusiastic landscape professional, was pivotal for making this expo a roaring success. Last, but definitely not the least, none of this would have been possible without the able leadership of Honorable Lieutenant Governor, sir. I would like to thank him for gracing us with his presence in the inaugural ceremony and his continued guidance. Our learned Vice Chairman has been a pillar of support since the beginning of this idea. And all of this would have been a waste had this thought not been taken forward by his able guidance and constant support. And we are utterly grateful to him for his leadership throughout this journey. With this, I thank all the participants that showed interest in this very important topic and joined us for making this event successful. As we move forward, our effort would be to carry these conversations into action through partnerships, projects, and sustained collaboration. We hope the DDA Green Expo will continue to grow as a platform for dialogue and shared learning in the years ahead. Thank you once again, and we look forward to working together. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. At one moment during these 2 days, I had asked the audience what is the one word you would choose to describe the DDA Green Expo. Everyone had given different words. Someone said it's a wake-up call. Someone said it is hopeful. Someone used different words. I would use the word excellence. And excellence is never an accident. It is the result of high intention, sincere effort, intelligent direction, skillful execution, and the vision to see obstacles as opportunities. And we have seen excellence in motion during these 2 days, thanks to all the stakeholders and our wonderful department. Put your hands together for the DDA Green Expo. These are the concluding moments. And I'm Swati Sharma Singh, thanking all of you for making it a huge success. Let's put our hands together once again. Let's cheer for such efforts and let's take this conversation forward. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody.
we would be requesting you all to kindly join us for Holi celebrations at the top plateau. We have Phoolon ki Holi there. So please, if you have time, please join us there. Thank you very much.
So, a happy Holi in advance to everybody as well.